Okay, hello there, and uh, this is the Decklist stream for GP Caracat. I mean, no, GP Damascus. Is that how you pronounce it?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, Damascus. Anyways, let me just also post it here. Anyways, let's see who's here for Decklist stream. Uh, well, anyways, so I guess you guys can probably hear me, so I guess we should probably just start.
Good.
Actually, let me just tweak a setting a bit. All right, I think that should work. And yeah, so let's start off. We're just gonna go from the top. So let's start off with the first deck. So actually, have you looked at the deck list before?
Not really.
Yeah, I mean,
I looked at the first couple very briefly, but nothing
just
else besides that.
I just glanced through them in order to add them to the spreadsheet or add the names to the spreadsheet. But yeah. So first up, we have Tree Q's Affinity Train. I guess that's what they're calling it now.
Yeah. So is this list any different than prior lists?
Can you load up the prior list?
The,
Actually, I can just look it up like this.
the sideboard looked different.
Okay. Oh yeah, they have. Do they always run a waste? No, they're running a waste in the sideboard for some reason.
Yeah, they moved a waste to the sideboard for Transplanted Citadel main deck, as far as I can tell.
Is
And then
is there a reason to run waste in sideboard? I guess against non-basic hate, but like what non-basic hate is even in the format?
I mean, Imperial Siege is a very good card.
Yeah,
but yeah, without any waste effect, the waste, it seems kind of suspect. Yeah, it seems mostly the same main deck besides some minor. Actually, I think the main deck's the same besides the one waste.
is it exactly the same?
I
Yeah.
can't quite tell because the cards on different orders on the Crackers deck list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this deck is decent. I don't really know what's happening in the sideboard now. I don't know what all these one-ofs are about.
Well, can you like fetch these guys easily? No.
No.
Maybe
Like,
you're just assuming you have enough deck velocity to find these guys.
yeah, like, there's definitely an argument against like playing 4 of something. But you don't have any filtering. Or kind of anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. Because like the reason I liked the previous list was because I think they had 2 Shining Crusaders and some more Stoneforge.
Yeah, two shining. Was it? Three shining crusaders and 3 Stoneforged.
And that seemed like a pretty good backup plan. If you couldn't reliably combo out. But with only one Shining Crusader, I don't really think that's the case.
Yeah.
So the sideboard is just kind of wonky. I don't know what this. I still don't know what this Imperial Coins is doing in the sideboard.
Like,
Or this word.
actually, are we missing something? Like, I feel like we should be missing something because this feels really weird. Like, they're just running extra copies as a hedge.
Yeah, but I'm not quite sure what matchups you want it in.
I don't know, just take out your bad cards and put in the Imperial Coins and wear items that you should be running 4 copies of anyways. Or, I mean, not 4 copies of, but more than whatever you're running right now. Actually, oh,
Is there an alternate kill? Like, I don't think there's an alternate way to kill, so it's not like you're siding out like Forge Master's Altar. And it seems like, I guess Mysterious Coffin, maybe you don't. There's some matchups where it's bad.
like, yeah, I mean, even if it's bad, you can still use it to continue your combo. So, like,
yeah, I guess Spirit Pendant probably has its bad matchups. Maybe Observer Beyonds has its bad matchups. I'm not sure.
yeah, and I think, I mean, the kill condition is combat.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked. I really don't like this sideboard. I mean, the waste seems kind of very optimistic as well. Like Imperial Siege is kind of threatening, but actually, I don't even know if it's threatening because we have these Promethean grottos, which are, I mean, basically basics with how they work against Imperial Siege.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 5.5, I guess. I mean, it is still train, and yeah, if you're not prepared, you will lose. It has a nice jig combo mana potion, but the sideboard is.
Since it's train, I think I can only give it up to up to 2 chili peppers. They're calling it Affinity Train this time. So Affinity Train or Forge Master Train, which name sounds better.
I think they're calling it that because there's the Observer Aeons.
Yeah.
But Affinity Train makes more sense.
Yeah, but like sometimes Forge Master is what matters, and sometimes Observer is what matters.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that you could play Forge Masters in normal train,
right?
Not necessarily just like as an alternate win condition, and not need to play Observer Aeons plus Blood River.
Yeah.
So we have, moving on, we have a little blank, and I don't actually know what's happening here.
Well, I mean, I think you're trying to like recast stuff by bouncing stuff, and
so you have Zera. So I guess what is triggering Zera is an important question. And I think the only answer to that is the coalesce cards.
Are you missing something? Do these guys? Well,
so I think
the
idea.
Yeah.
I think the idea is that Lysandra plus Fulfilled Twisted Dreams is a cool combo.
I mean, yeah.
Because you can basically make 4 5/5s. Or like any like 6 mana in play.
Yeah.
And that sounds like kind of good, I guess. It is kind of neat. But at the same time, I don't know what like the rest of these cards are doing. Like I guess Zera kind of lets you do the same thing with All Forgotten Aeons. That seems really minimal.
Yeah. Also, so Cajun in chat mentioning that you can't cast Revelations that are on the board with Fennec Forest Rider. Although I'm not sure if that's something that you were already like aware of.
Yeah. Makes sense because you would try and cast on it exiles itself.
Yeah, but like
that stuff.
So does a little bank know that, and they built the deck assuming that you could cast them. Because if still, then the deck makes a lot more sense because then you're like recasting Fulfilled Twisted Dreams from the board.
So I guess in that case, that'd be infinite mana, right?
No, it's
Or,
once each turn.
once each turn. Yeah, that's not infinite mana. I mean, Fennec Fast Strider is a pretty. It's just kind of a good card. I don't even think you need that much synergy with it. Like the Venture is pretty solid, honestly. It's a bit, it's a bit random, but
I guess
it is. If you hit land on that, it is a 2-mana draw too. In worst case scenario, it's a 2-mana sleight of the hand.
Yeah. So, do you think they're trying to do also like twist the threads? Like, have you figured out what they're trying to do with twist the threads plus one back into wild? I feel like they do have some sort of combo.
I think the backend is just for consistency, same with the Conjure.
Right.
Twist the Threads is kind of neat with Spectrum Archmage, I guess. Because you can Spectrum Archmage, Twist the Threads, put in the Alessandra, and then combo off.
Yeah, wait, does that no, then Alessandra goes in play, but you still don't trigger its ability, right?
Yeah, but then you have like a fill or something. So it kind of gives you more interaction. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
Twist the Threads with Spectrum Archmage is a kind of a cool combo.
Yeah, I guess.
It can be really punishing. But
yeah.
wait, does Beckon doesn't even grab Panda? Or
That's green,
Coyote?
Right. I mean, you can like conjure the eyes for Coyote, and then what? You can just get stuff back, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Maybe the deck's just doing something really cool that we can't seem to figure out, I guess.
Well, if we can't figure out, then I don't know.
Well, either ways, I'm gonna give this thing 5 chili peppers because if it manages to stump us, then surely it's definitely trying to be spicy.
Yeah, I think it's really spicy, but I think it's just bad.
Well, good.
Like I think there's definitely some cool things going on with like Spectrum Archmage, Twist the Threads is I think probably a legitimate combo. And like Lysandra with Fulfilled Twisted Dreams is also really neat. And honestly pretty powerful. But the rest of the deck just like doesn't function.
Yeah.
Like I already have a lot of questions around Twisted Threads, even if it's good, just because it needs like something in play and something in hand, and then you're playing a card to get an ETB. So actually use the battlefield. And this is just kind of the pinnacle of that, where I think even if you combo, you're nowhere close to being guaranteed to win the game. Unless if you have a companion on the same turn, because you just lose to Wrath. But yeah, I think unfortunately, despite me being a big fan of like Fennec Fast Rider, I don't think this actually works.
Yeah.
Also, the sideboard is really weird, as well as the mana base.
Well, it has 6 worms in the sideboard. That's worth at least something, I guess. And 6 pierces.
Yeah, I guess they're playing Pierce and Worm Tribal on the sideboard.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to give this like a 3.
What are you even calling this deck? Twist the Threads?
I mean, I feel like the main thing it's doing is Lysandra Fulfilled Twisted Dreams.
Okay, so I guess Blue Green Lysandra.
I guess.
Is it Lysandra or Lysandra? Sandra, okay.
Yeah, so it is kind of cool that Coyote is seeing play. But yeah. Also, just as a note, this mana base does actually work, surprisingly. Barely, mind you, but it does technically work. Except in the sideboard, because Bessie's Brood is of all these muted.
Oh, yeah.
means that you need double green, and that becomes less useful.
Yeah,
Actually, wait, 12 sources, it's really marginal.
I guess Little Blank was just too lazy to build a mana base right then. Or actually, like they had the ability to build a mana base and then play Bounty of the Gardens, right? In this deck. Like, Bounty is good here because you can like recast it with Kyone.
Yeah, I don't think you want Bounty in this deck. It seems to be not what you're doing. Doesn't work. Wrist doesn't work with Lysandra. Also, Lysandra is interactable with, but this is also kind of neat because the combo isn't actually hit with Grave Hate, which is cool. Because you can immediately go for Build with Dreams and cast it, so you dodge like Seal the Tomb.
Right.
It's cool.
Yeah, I guess that's all we have to say about this extremely strange deck. I definitely want to get this deck on camera so that we can see what it does.
So we have As the Quiet on Hawk, which seems like Villainy with a copious amount of discard.
It's white black villainy, I think.
So
I guess I call it villainy pox.
Okay, so first thing that jumps out to me is that you have 17 discard spells.
Wait, do you actually have? Oh, well, wait, you're running some. You're going like really deep into the pool with some of these cards.
Also, no Valdez. I mean, it doesn't matter like too much, but it does seem odd to not have Valdez in this deck.
You're running co-serve methods, but not Valdez. You're going to the bottom of the well and missing the Valdez on the way down.
You're missing the Valdez, getting the water from the well.
Yeah.
I mean, Coercive Methods can like mana screw someone, which is kind of neat.
I feel like in consoles well, I guess.
Yeah, if they don't choose land or don't realize that it can hit lands. And I mean, maybe that's where the pox is coming from.
Right, because Valdez doesn't hit lands. So if your opponent's keeping a land in hand, you can't get rid of it.
And they have Bell's Descent. So they're playing 3 non-swamps. So I don't really feel like they're going to be able to flip this Bell's Descent that often.
I mean,
because it's like 5 lands on getting to 5 lands on 22 total seems kind of difficult, and legitimate establishment isn't helping you.
Well, I mean, how often does Ninja's flip, and how many mountains do you run to support that?
Typically I was on like 24.
Okay, so like how many non-mountains were you running then?
0.
Oh.
I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I guess you are playing a bit of a longer game. With this much discard. Or planning to. Because your opponent's not going to be doing much with 0 cards in hand.
Yeah.
But I mean, Villainy is really good. But I'm going to say that this is just kind of bad. I think this is like... It feels weird to say this, but I think this is like too reliant on Villainy.
Yeah, because you need Villainy to make your discard spells useful after your opponent runs out of cards.
Yeah, and even then, you like can't kill anyone with just Villainy triggers.
Well,
so
I mean...
kind of need to... You kind of need for Villainy to be drawing cards too, it feels like.
Yeah.
Where, like, in 3 Cheers Villainy, for example, 3 Cheers gets you a ton of Villainy triggers. Shift the Sands too.
Yeah.
Like, it actually becomes reasonable to kill someone reasonably quickly with Villainy.
Actually, this deck isn't running Shift the Sands either.
Yeah, I mean, Shift the Sands is a really marginal card. Like, a big reason I 3 Cheers Villainy was winning it is because it's good when your opponent's empty-handed. But here they don't really care about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least they're trying, so I'm going to give them Is it 3 or 4? Should I give him 3 or 4 chili peppers? Actually, yeah, 3 chili peppers.
Yeah, and then you don't have whispered explorations either. You don't have so if your villain dies or you don't have a villain, you can't even look towards one. I think it's like 4, I think. Maybe 4.5. And villainy is really good, and some decks just don't have an answer to it.
Yeah, I guess. Uh, so next up, Agent's running Mabel Flash, so it's Bat Flash.
So we have
Yeah, it's Bat
all the
Flash.
good dance spells.
It's running mainboard Kalilia, and then it's also running Mark of the Scale Blight in the sideboard.
Yeah, I think that's a much more natural way to do it than what like Blues Eclipse was doing last GP, with playing them both main.
Yeah, but like, is Kalilia plus Mark actually good enough to sideboard against
There's
creature
some
decks?
matchups where I think it's pretty brutal. And against the deck I was running last GP, I think it's like against anything where like you're creature based and you have no way to answer it. It's pretty brutal, and he does exile too.
Right.
Like, I guess in this case you don't have any way to search for the. I guess you have the third and sideboard, which is probably fine.
I mean, I think you can probably have enough time to draw into the combo, hopefully.
Yeah, probably. They don't actually have any draw.
You have Gaze Deeper.
You have 2 decays deeper.
That's your top end refill.
I got 2 more on the sideboard. I don't know. Yeah, I think now you mention it, that it is kind of weird. It is really powerful, but
Yeah. But I mean, otherwise, the deck looks pretty standard for a Bat Flash deck.
does Bennett? I feel like Bennett Flash normally plays some other payoff pods. Am I crazy?
It's only running 8 Cane Dancer. No, it's running 12 Cane Dancer targets. Never mind.
Only 3 can dances though.
Right.
I feel like this. I feel like this feels more like a bank control deck, which should have like some. It should be playing like Epic Counter or like Heart of the Xena or something.
Well, but then you become a heart attack deck at that point.
Yeah, I feel like this kind of set of spells. It feels like that's what you're looking at, right?
Maybe.
Yeah,
because you don't have any beatdown
people
like with normal Flash or with other Flash decks.
Yeah, like this is a deck that Matty would make really good. But like Panya is another card that like feels like it's more of a Flash thing. This feels kind of like in between Flash and Control.
So yes, I guess slow Flash.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it, but
I'll just call it Bat Flash.
I think this is kind of low on threats, and also kind of like low on high end. We're just kind of playing power removal. So like if your opponent answers your bounties, it feels kind of hard to win.
Yeah, I guess you have End of All Things plus Bad Command plus Gaze Deeper you can try to win through that, but yeah. Or do you have... No, you don't even have Monument of Queens. Or no, you have 2 Monument of Queens, so yeah, that's your other win condition.
Yeah, I guess Monument of Queens is good. Yeah, I think this is functional, but I think it's just kind of... Like, this is kind of what I mean by, like, collection of good cards.
Right.
I think, like, a Mattia I think would go a long way in, like, helping fetch an density. Or just, like, really in more high-end. Would also help you kind of, like, wet lightness.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to give it 3 chili peppers because it's running that Kalilia deck. And next up, the Crush Castle is also running Crazy Train, but it's a different version. I think it's the same deck that they ran last time too.
So in Discord, IQ was mentioning that the Shining Crusader backup plan was actually completely awful. So they actually shouldn't have this last copy in there.
Huh. Well, I guess they probably know better than.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being the case. But still don't really know what the sideboard is doing exactly. So Crush Castles is on. I think is this the same list they were running last GP?
I don't actually. I think so. Let me.
They're on.
No, they have more Observer Aeons now. Yeah,
but otherwise pretty similar.
I mean, they've gone from. No, they're up to 4 in the Unleash the Dragons too. What they cut for those guys? They cut Marked Coin, I think. No, they haven't. No.
They cut 3 artifacts.
Yeah.
I cannot tell what those are.
Well, whatever. We'll just assume that.
They cut Forge Masters also.
Oh. Yeah, so they're on pure Affinity Train now.
Huh. Wait, how is. What does Observer Aeons do with that Forge Masters altar?
I mean, it's a big. You drop a 1 mana 5/5 Trampler that. Drop a 5/5 Trampling ATOG, and then, Psychotog, and then you attack. You hope that. Wait, yeah, what does it. I guess it wins before you.
I guess it's a backup plan to unleash the dragon.
Yeah.
Seems okay. I feel like Forge Masters Altar is probably a better way to do that. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, seems.
But since Crush Castle is playing an actually colored mana base as opposed to Tree Queue, you can actually play sideboard cards. And they're playing Shell Drain's Rage and Brutal Blow and Moment of Tranquility.
Yeah, I'm not big on Moment of Tranquility, but it functions. It does what it's supposed to do. But yeah, the sideboard seems reasonable. I'm not. What is Astral Dynamo doing?
Astral Dynamo?
Gets you a whole bunch of mana, but for what?
I
guess it lets you draw infinite with Water Tome.
I guess? Does it do anything with Volta? No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea. I think this is probably about the same as the other train decks.
Okay, so I guess. Are we calling it Affinity Train 2, or are we calling it different?
I think it's just Train. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that one.
Great. I mean, it has Unleash the Dragon, so I guess it's more like standard Train. And since it's more standard Train, I'm gonna give it 2 Chili Peppers, which is the same as other Train deck. And Ricky was saying that Observer is still really good without Altar.
Oh, interesting.
Which, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. You're spamming the board with artifacts. Like, at some point, there's diminishing returns to cost reduction. At some point, you can just drop it and the cost doesn't matter anymore. I guess with Crazy Train, you can spam the board reliably enough for that to happen without needing Forge Master's Altar.
Wait, so they're saying that Observer is much better than Forge Masters? But
I guess.
I feel like I get the idea of like a 0 mana 5/5, but are you actually killing with Observer? I guess you get two. No, I guess it can exile from the odd too.
Yeah.
I guess it does kill at reasonably low totals. Yeah, but I guess though. Then again, without Blood River, you can't one-shot someone.
Yeah, I mean, Trick is running one Blood River, but you have no way to fetch it, so it's a bit unreliable.
Yeah, but in this case, they have Unleash the Dragon.
Yeah, so they're just running as a backup plan, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like intuitively Observer is not a great win condition, but I don't know, maybe that's wrong. Like need to untap it. With Blood River, it makes more sense because you don't need to play Unleash, but regardless.
Yeah.
So Graveyard for Gentian is on 5-color Legends. So this is one of my builds.
It's running Thriving Bloodling plus the package. You can actually run Sanjing now since it's not running Lone Survivor.
Yeah, so I think this build's kind of interesting. Where like a lot of cards are different from what I was playing last GP, but it's just a very similar deck in general. Where with the power kind of shifted around.
Right.
Where like you don't get to play Lone Survivor and the Grandsmerg, but you get to play just kind of better cards in general.
Actually, why aren't you playing the Grandsmerg? Is it because you have too many legends?
Yeah, it doesn't hit legends.
Okay.
So you get Sangjin over Dovin's Masterpiece. You get the Thriving Building producing 5 colors with Many Voice Tower and Chikami to Castle.
Right. That does.
Which that's a kind of a big deal. I think you saw a couple times in GP where like, I just couldn't make like Building just wasn't ramp because I had like 5 basics in play.
Yeah.
And these 5 color lands help. So I think in general this deck can also get Emma, which is kind of an insane value card.
Yeah.
As well as some other things.
What's Avatar cascading into?
Solar Flare or Thriving Building.
Right. I guess hitting a Thriving Building is pretty good if you manage to spend your mana.
I'm not exactly sure how good Avatar is, but it seems reasonable.
You're also running Veer main board.
Yeah. I think Veer is just a fine card. Like giving an entire graveyard flashback basically is what the card does. And I don't think you really need to first made it to do that. Yeah, I think really the difference between this deck and the other deck is that this deck has much more value in it. Yeah. Where basically it feels like basically every card gets you value. So you get like Seek Elizabeth and Emma as 2 really big value pieces. So it's kind of hard to run the deck out of cards entirely. Also, Many Voice Tower is a pretty good utility land.
Yeah, you can even it's tutors.
Yeah. But on the other side, you don't have Lone Survivor. Is the main thing. Right. You don't have Grandsmerg, so those are kind of 2 big losses. So there's some trade-offs. I think this deck is overall pretty solid.
I'll give it 4 chili peppers.
Let's see. So we have Epid on the deck they were running last GP.
Is it the exact same?
Yeah, pretty sure it's the exact same. And this deck is solid.
Oh yeah, it is literally the exact same. So yeah, I mean, I guess we've already seen how the deck performs. I think from the matches that I've watched, they've won more games from Infectious Eagle beatdown. I mean, Infectious Eagle plus Soulbreaker beatdown than winning from the combo, but I guess that's part of the strength of the deck. Like also Wish to See on Infectious Ego is really good, especially after your opponent expends a bunch of resources to kill the ego.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely kind of a shifting from the. This basically started as a Infectious Ego Soulbreaker kind of mid-range deck, and kind of added combo as an afterthought. Combo's still pretty good, I think, but
its combo doesn't even take up that much space, all things considered. You just have a bunch of useless buy times some of the time, but
yeah, and buy time also gives a decent amount of like reach, I guess. Like like if you just have a random like ego and soulbreaker, and they're kind of hitting your opponent down his low life, you can just kill people with buy time. It's
right.
not crazy.
Well, you can either kill them or you can backfire horribly, but yeah, it's a risk you have to take.
Yeah.
So, actually, what? I forget the name. Okay, Gravel is on 5C Legends, right?
Yep.
And if it is on Casino Scam, I'm gonna give that thing. I'll give it 3 chili peppers. I still like because it's still a pretty interesting deck.
So Espethil
Yeah.
is on Rejuve.
Yep. I gave him the deck right before GP, and it's the updated list, right? Yeah, it's the updated list. They cut one Flawless World for an end of days in the main board, so you can fetch it with Conjure Realities in game 1 against creature decks.
Yeah, this deck is just very solid.
It has won a GP before.
Yeah, I don't feel like this deck has many like bad matchups. Maybe you can speak more to that.
Well, it's. I feel like the deck should lose harder to Grave Hate, but surprisingly, either I've been getting lucky or it doesn't actually lose that hard to Grave Hate.
Yeah, well, the only cards they use the grave are the coalesce cards, right?
Yeah, but like if a lot of the times if you
value eating without them,
like a lot of times if your opponent prevents you from coalescing your cards, sometimes you just run out of cards to play after you ramp up.
Yeah.
And also
at the same time, the coalesce cards do odd divinations, right?
Yeah.
Odd realities. That works even without the coalesce. Children of the Clouds too.
This deck also has the problem of, or at least when I'm playing deck, it also has the problem of you log into 6, you have a hand with 3 lands, do bottom of the lands, and then a lot of times I just bomb the Children of the Clouds instead, and then I end up regretting it because I draw lands.
Yeah, but I think this deck's just very solid. Good sideboard, good amount of interaction.
Yeah. Let me give it 1 chili pepper because it's an established deck. So now,
so now we have Gallo on like Legends aggro.
Yep, it's Legend aggro again, and this time they've got Mattia and Zakar from the sideboard.
Yeah, those are both pretty nice improvements. Zakar, not even necessarily as a combo hate, but even just as burn hate is kind of nice.
Oh yeah, right. It's life linking,
and that is kind of important with how it. Yeah, the mana base is kind of pricey on the life.
Yeah.
It depends on what. I guess Chowing Stone, Shikami Castle are paying this. It shouldn't be that bad. But I think this deck's generally just pretty solid.
Yeah.
Matty is a pretty good improvement. Really, I think if you're trying to like do fair, like be very fair against this deck, you're probably gonna have a bit of a rough time.
Well, if you could, I mean, you can just 1-for-1 them until they drop, and then you hope that they don't drop Emma, I guess.
Yeah, Emma makes 1-for-1ing kind of hard.
Also, Warhound Shuja, has that card been good? Like, I feel like every time it's too slow.
Yeah, maybe. There might just not be anything better.
I mean, you can always run more 2-drops.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's not exceptional, but I'm not gonna say too much about it.
Yeah.
I think it does kind of run into the same problems that a lot of like typical creature aggro runs into. Like if you get Wrath, you're feeling pretty bad. Like yeah, you can rebuild Emma, but that's ends up being really slow.
Yeah, and you don't have any way to like prevent yourself from getting wrathed.
Yeah, Matia does help a fair bit because most Wrath is full 3 speed, so dropping an end of turn Matia is pretty threatening.
Sometimes you can like just buff someone out of wrath range too.
I don't think in this deck you can, because the retainers will die to the Wrath, right?
Right.
Oh, sorry, with Matia, right? So yeah, Matia on a Warhound Shuja puts it out of Violent Collapse range.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I'll give it 2 chili peppers.
Gonna put is on
Zombies? Is this zombies?
black stuff. Yeah, so I'm credited here. And I got sent an early version of the list. That was mono black with Eldraine's Masterpiece.
Right.
And Bones Bidding Monstrosity.
So what does this deck do?
So the list I was sent was kind of cool because Valdez and Bone Spitting Monstrosity have the same kind of triggering condition. But Bone Spitting Monstrosity is a 2-mana 2/2 that if your opponent has 2 or less cards in hand,
right, I'm just looking it up.
It's a 4/4 menace that when it hits them, you make a 1/1.
Right.
And then it's also zombie for Eldraine's Masterpiece, which is also pretty nice.
Yeah, but it seems like they cut Eldraine's Masterpiece to play good non-zombie cards.
Yeah, and that was, I'm not super surprised that ended up happening, but I think that kind of ended up on this weird in-between where they still have this one-job zombie package with Shikard's Revenant and Sidrax's Caffeinator and Departed Vandal.
Right.
Where really those cards only work with each other. Right?
Right.
Whereas previously Eldraine's Masterpiece made them a lot better. Like going from a 2-power creature to a 3-power one is pretty big. And you don't have Bones Spitting Monstrosity either. That's kind of a good threat. Inish 2 is kind of weird here too. I don't think you can really get the cards in graveyard that fast.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're playing a long game either.
So like, what is the deck actually trying to do then? Is it like, yeah, it's one part of the combo and then you're trying to like mid-range them on the other half?
Yeah, I think you're trying to get Sidrax's Trepanator set up with one of the two 1-drop zombies.
Yeah, and then you're also running 5 discard spells.
Yeah, and then you have some discard, some bulk discard to like back it up and Pith Wilts.
Yeah.
And then you have some decent mid-range threats with Chili and Profane Emissary and Velvet.
I mean, that doesn't look like much, but maybe you can just get there just by the strength of the package, or at least just the strength of the cards.
Yeah, I think if you don't get Sidrax's Trepanator set up, like if you don't get Trepanator plus one of the 2 zombies, I don't think the deck actually really works, to be completely honest.
Right, because you really don't want to be sacking any of your other guys. Like, they're way too high value.
Trepanator isn't the worst thing if you don't have it, because it does, it is a discard spell. It can attack itself.
Yeah.
But, like, it just don't have a lot of threats. And, like, you don't win especially quickly. Like, if you're on, like, Trepanator getting set up quickly. You don't have a lot of card flow. I don't know, this is just kind of a collection of cards that doesn't really work together super well. Nor do you really have like a key combo that gets you there.
Yeah. I guess it's just supposed to be a discard deck. You're trying to run them out of cards.
I'd be much higher on this if Bones being on Sorcery was still in it, but
yeah. So I guess, what do you call it? Zombie discard? At least it's pretty spicy. I'll give it like 3 peppers. Sure. So Hurley's on Mishka control. Using Hungering Cult and Sacrifice a Star, so they're definitely getting the flavor win here, at least.
Yeah. So how many colors is this? 5 color? 4 color? Yeah, 4 color.
Okay, 4 color. Running with Stars Command too.
Seems fine.
Yeah, I guess.
It is Sacrifice to Setar's Walker, so Mishka good?
I mean, you +2 and it draws a card, and you can also like Fate Seal people with it. And like, it +1 makes a guy, so like it's good value, at least.
I guess it draws the cards when it dies too, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And it scries, and it surveils 3. Yeah, I guess pretty solid, just overall.
And then you have the confirm +15 lands mana base. You're running Delve for treasures, which you can like ramp into, I guess. Does the deck have any other ramp? No, it's just gonna. And okay, so it's running Cosmic and Delve for treasures, so I guess it's just trying to naturally get to that mana.
Yeah, I think this is just kind of. This kind of feels like a stock, like just kind of a random control shell almost.
Yeah.
Where like it doesn't. I think it just doesn't do anything especially broken, or it doesn't really use that many like especially good cards either. Or like something like Rainbow Control, like you have like RFE is a very good card. End of All Things as well, Thunder Roads. All kind of fundamentally very powerful cards.
Yeah.
I think the only really fundamentally powerful card you're using is Confirm.
Maybe just get there just because you're a control deck and like you have stuff.
But I think just overall this is just kind of control.
Also, it's winning with Stars Command. Like, are you trying to win with Stars Command by wheeling and dealing? I guess in the
Maybe.
late game, you have enough cards in hand, you can like just wheel and deal with what's the odds and kill people with it. Especially if
Yeah,
you've drawn some
I
more
think
cards.
if people aren't aware of Rest Odds command, then it's pretty threatening. But there's not really that much draw in this
Oh,
deck.
it's funny hard the Dina. And it
Uh,
has Cosmic
yeah,
to
with
pull it from the sideboard.
yeah. I mean, Cosmic pulling Hazina is cool, but also it's just kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Like it definitely functions. I think it's just kind of. I feel like there could just be kind of more powerful cards in here. Where like I'm not necessarily seeing why this isn't by like Thunder Roads, for example.
Well, because then you have to go all 5 colors.
Yeah, but your mana base is already basically $5. Like you have 8 shifting lands. Like you have a whole bunch of tri lands.
Right.
Uh, yeah, I think this is just kind of an okay control deck that's kind of playing that, but it's like expensive cards are just not as free as other control decks are.
Yeah, I guess. I'm gonna give it 3 chili peppers because I do like the flavor win of Hungry Call and Sacrifice to Sitar. And it's also running the Alpha Treasures. That's pretty cool. And Restart Command too. Stuff that you don't see every day. But anyways, so Trump Peck, they're running Clerics. Absent Clerics to be specific. And Dark Sand Acolyte, especially. Yeah. Like that's I play against this card in League as a rejuvenation, and what happens is that if they have Soul Warden in play and Dark Sand Acolyte, then your Children of the Clouds do nothing. If they have 2 Soul Wardens and Dark Sand Acolyte, your Children of the Clouds kill you.
Yeah, that's very true. But this, I think, is this better than like Carnival Yatri? What have you?
Well, I've never seen that card in action. But like Dark Sand's 2 mana and doesn't require attacking.
I guess that's true. The Carnival Yatri does just deal more damage. Hmm.
And like Dark Sand Acolyte stacks really well, especially, and it also stacks if you have multiple Soul Sisters, because now your opponent's losing a bunch of life for each creature that you spam down.
Yeah, I guess the advantage of the Yatri is that your EHS hits more stuff.
Yeah, that too. So the version that ran to in League was also running Ravala, the Planeswalker. What was it called?
Oh, is that the one that makes an emblem?
Yeah. Ravala Star Touch, the one that makes an emblem that makes you gain life when attacking. And it also stacks pretty well with Dark Sand Acolyte. I guess they cut it because it's too situational or too slow or something, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's alright.
Dark Sand Clerics.
Like definitely it's doing powerful stuff, but at the same time it is just kind of a creature deck. Well, yeah, yes, but these kind of creature deck aggro decks that if you don't do anything to them, they will kill you turn 4 through your pitiful couple blockers.
Yeah,
And this feels like another kind of one of those.
I'll give it 4 chili peppers. So let's see. Infinity Chef is running mono red burn. Yeah, just pure mono red burn. You're not going black for Hugo, so you don't have to worry about your curve. You're just running red burn spells. And your Rapid Countess. Rapid Countess is a pretty interesting addition to the deck. It's probably good.
I guess you get to 3 lands decent often with 20 land spin.
Yeah. Also, you're like running 16 mountains of. Oh, I mean, the main problem with this burn deck is that it's not running call. Let's just shock fetch man base. And like call actually is one of the strongest things that you can be doing with burn.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think just in general, this deck's not doing that much broken. Like I think kind of a lot of the cards that make burn like excellent just aren't being played here.
Yeah.
Like a Rattler as one example.
What's running
Cult as another.
I guess running
Hugo as another.
Raptured instead of Rattler as a top end 3-drop.
Yeah, but Rapture's quite a bit like it's just they're more expensive.
Yeah.
And also just kind of generally worse.
Right, because you're basically paying 3 mana plus 1 mana for a 1/1 that doesn't even arc lightning. It just lightning bolts.
Yeah, and maybe more importantly, it's killable before you get to tail.
Yeah.
As Rattler is not.
Also, the sideboard is very simple. It's also running for Confront the Real Master. And, like, I think we've experimented with this card when it first came out because I was on the lookout for something that lets me beat Temur Temple. This thing does not let me beat Temur Temple.
Yeah, I think Confront ends up being kind of bad.
Yeah, Confront seems like it should be good against counter heavy decks, but no, it actually isn't. Because you just actually, why is it bad? I forgot.
Well, it's just it's a completely garbage top deck. Where like you're not actually getting that much from it. Where you're getting 1 additional damage over a typical burn spell. And like if you top deck it, it's completely awful. Most decks aren't playing that many counter spells.
Right.
Like and like even if you like it functions, but I think definitely against like a smart opponent, they can realize that this burn player passed with a card in their hand, or like 2 cards in their hand. They probably have Confront. With open Decklist, you can kind of do that.
Right.
And you can kind of go, okay, I won't counter their spell. I'll let the banished companion resolve.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on. Insert names running Hounds, which hasn't seen play since they got nerfed.
Yeah, so Anarch Alpha now gives Reverse Menace instead of Haste.
Yeah.
What's Reverse Menace?
Stampeding Rhino. Yeah, it's a Charging Rhino ability. That's what it's called.
But yeah, this deck's probably fine. It's creature aggro.
It's running Brothers Reunion. I guess that's a new card.
Yeah, I'd imagine this is to deal with the fact that the deck is kind of reliant on EHS.
Well, EHS hits Brothers Reunion, so like,
yeah, that's
unlike Theocracy, that's an advantage.
So like Brothers Reunion, I don't know how consistent you can actually trigger it. I guess this deck does kind of attack with 2 creatures a decent bit. Like you go one draw, 2 draw. Brothers Reunion is pretty solid.
Also, even if you don't trigger it, it's still like 2 mana, get 2 drops. So like, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is just kind of creature aggro.
Yeah. It's running Nip and a Heal in the sideboard. I guess that's an interesting card. Not sure if that card's actually good or not, but
it's not, but it works with all your lords, so it's probably fine.
Yeah, well, either way, it's still Naya Hound, and it's interesting. So I'm gonna give it Yeah, for sure.
Um,
And let's
so
wait,
okay,
wait.
Coach needs yeah,
Wait, can you read? I can't read.
yeah,
Okay, what does it mean?
I whatever. Basically, it's just a sound you make. I don't know.
Okay, sure.
I don't think it means anything in relation to the deck.
Well, it means whatever. In this case, the deck does whatever it wants, and then eventually wins.
I guess. But this is I've been calling this like molten EHS. We have molten incubation and EHS.
It actually sounds like a really cool name, at least.
But your Naya colors, splashing for Goth. Despite being Naya, you're not playing, and you're playing Goth, which I guess is the best way to describe the fact that you're playing zero creatures and kind of the stereotypical creature colors.
Is there a reason to run Garth? I mean,
It's the first mate.
is it worth making your mana worse just to play Garth?
I think so. I think Goth is also kind of nice for this deck because Goth does like you have to like especially the mystery of Craftcraft. Goth and mystery, the answers you want for them are very different. Like
Right.
mystery, you want kind of like burn spells. Goth, you want hard removal.
Yeah.
Goth is also just kind of pretty scary in general. Um, if you don't have removal, so against like these slower decks. And also just having first mate to deal with four landers or whatever is really nice.
Yeah.
But generally, this deck is using these enchantments, so Mystery of Craftcraft, Molten Incubation, and Performance of a Lifetime to generate a lot of value, and then playing these kind of generally good spells, so EHS, one or more, some green cantrips, and Abundant Harvest and Journey Begins.
More and more also ramps.
Yeah.
They're just cantripping through a deck and then like trying to benefit from casting all those non-creature spells.
Yeah. And Performance of a Lifetime, even at 2 mana, is really scary. I played this deck a couple times, and you flash back in EHS, and the opponent cries a little bit as you cast 4 spells, and go completely nuts. And even some like very basic draws, like Mischief Craft into Solar Flare into EHS, is really scary as well.
Also, you have combined 4 Imperial Sieges in the deck, so you can bring 4 Imperial Sieges against non-basic base decks, and then just you have a lot of ways to cast or I guess find Imperial Siege early.
Yeah, so Imperial Siege with Endless Helper Souls and Breach the Lilies is pretty unfun for your opponent's mana base.
Yeah.
I think so. Generally, I think you're doing a lot of powerful things with this deck. Main problem is that you're playing a kind of slow deck in Naya, and you can't play like Fog Spear or anything because it hits you way more than it hits your opponent. So really, this Imperial Siege is your answer to anything that's not creature based, which is scary.
I mean, why worry about what your opponent's going to cast if you just don't let them cast anything in the first place?
That's true, but if they fetch basics, that does not quite work.
Yeah, so Molten EHS, that's what we're calling the deck.
But I think this deck's pretty solid in general. You're just doing a lot of powerful things with cards that do like slightly more than you expect. And just very slightly overtuned.
I'm going to give it 5 chili peppers because it's a very interesting deck. Highly synergistic. And next up is your deck. Or as I could, so I'm gonna call it deck almost infuseless, almost infused, because that's
Just call it Storm.
almost infuseless, almost infused.
Like Rejuveless Rejuve, I mean, you're playing Rejuvenation, except you're playing a different Rejuvenation. Makes sense.
I mean, I'm also playing a different payoff.
You are, yeah, but the payoff and big mana decks are like flavor of the week kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then I'm also playing Untouched Wilds, which is like, yeah, okay, yeah.
So, whereas this deck is nothing like Infuse.
I guess we can call it Tongue Twister Storm, because that's where most of your thinking will go.
Yeah. So, like, maybe best example is that Wheat from Chaff, which is probably one of the best cards in Old Infuse. Dead Infuse, I guess. I'm only playing 2 copies of. Grasp Understanding just straight up doesn't work in Infuse. I'm playing copy Infuse just as a mana sink, but regardless. But really, this deck, as you mentioned, is built on Tongue Twister, where Tongue Twister is both a mana engine and a card draw engine, or card draw payoff.
I mean, it's a wheel.
Yeah. Where a lot of thinking in this deck is coming around numbering your spells for Tongue Twister.
It's extremely fun to see someone do that. Or at least to watch them do it. It's not fun to do it yourself.
Yeah, making sure that you're on the right count. Conjured Realities really helps out, where you can use the full cost reduction, cast Conjured Realities, you bound something for free. So Conjured is your even, a bound spell is your odd, and then you're back to even for Tongue Twister.
Yeah.
Then in addition, you have Flatboat Arson as your other mana cost reducer. Also a very good card. Notably, lets you go off not easily, but pretty nicely on turn 3, because you can go Ritual for 1 mana and then copy it with the tail and get 6 mana, and they have a bunch of resources to work with.
Yep.
And then you just go through your deck, Grasp Understanding needs more card draw, Conjured Realities fetches stuff, and eventually you get Storm Count for Unleashed Dragon, aka Great Drops.
You only need 1 copy.
Yeah, you only need 1 copy.
I mean, what happens if it gets discarded or milled or exiled or something?
So if it's in graveyard, Tongue Twister, the Croaking Course brings it back to your deck.
Right.
It's a Tongue Twister. It's exile, then you go with Volcanic Pounce plus Leaf Down Sizzle Mage.
Can you actually get to that much Storm Count?
Yeah. And you can get to 20 pretty easily.
But like you have to play down Sizzle Mage and then Volcanic Pounce it first, and then you can start building up power on that guy.
Yeah. But the
so
thing is that Tongue Twister
Storm Count in the middle of the combo, basically.
The thing is that by the time that you get like the Storm Count kill with Unleash, which is generally around like 13 or so, before you can either cast it twice or they're just dead lands, Tongue Twister kind of makes you go infinite regardless.
Right.
And Tongue Twister isn't going to kill you until you get like 40 Storm Count. And it decks you out. So
yeah.
This deck does, if you're familiar with like Blue Red Storm and Modern, this is, well, I don't know how it is now, but with Goblin Electromancer, very similar.
It doesn't have its gifts and given. I guess Conjure Reality is kind of like gifts and given in a sense.
It plays out very similarly in different cards. I think this deck is solid, but really easily hateable.
I was thinking you were going to say how it's really hard to play.
It's also really hard to play. Do not play this deck. This is not infused. You cannot count to 10 and win.
Instead, you have to like count odds and evens.
this kill is not deterministic. You never have the win in hand. You need to, by the point you get like 7 storm count, you start to see that you can win. Even with aggressive hands, you need to actually think about what you're doing.
So would you say it's easier or harder than Minister?
Probably ends up being easier. Test different skills though.
Really? Yeah, I guess. I'll give it 5 chili peppers because someone managed to revive Storm, or someone managed to make almost infuseless, almost infuse work.
So Emily is on Burn. I think this is similar to what they were playing last time.
Yeah, they're running a classic black-red Burn with Hugo instead of the mono red version, and that means they get to play Cult Axlinger with the fetch shock man base.
I think Burn's a really strong deck.
Burn's always strong.
Yeah. Obviously, you're going to have your bad matchups, but I think just in general, you have good matchups across the board. And I think no deck wants to play against Burn, really.
Well, except, actually not even Soul Sisters wants to play against Burn because...
Yeah, Rattler is really scary for Soul Sisters.
Yeah.
And like Rage the Lavage as well. And you have your answers. But I think Burn is in general just one of the best decks in the format.
So they are running main deck no good gun pointers. I guess they're expecting the Burn mirror. I guess aggro mirror in general.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
I'll give it 2 chili peppers for what why am I giving it 2 chili peppers? Oh yeah, because it's running Searing Grace.
So you're on Rejuveless Rejuve.
Yes,
it's
but
Rejuveless Rejuve.
Okay, I was planning to submit a different deck for this, but I forgot to actually submit, so yeah, I'm gonna Rejuve again.
You're testing out the new deck, and you're like, whoa, this deck's broken, utterly insane, 10 out of 10. And don't submit it.
I need to get more practice with the deck before I actually run it through a GP. That's what I'm claiming. But yeah, it's Rejuve, except some of the secret layer cards, or some of these cards have secret layer versions now. But yeah, and I actually calculated that it was 16%, or it's plus 16%.
Even with you're counting the forbidden treasures?
Yeah. It's like,
I'll believe you.
Yeah.
Well, you have 14 total cards now?
Children's... What?
Conjure, Treasure, Untouched? Oh no, you're Untouched 4, so 16.
Yeah, 16. It's 4 to 16 out of 75, so that's 16% more.
So Scribble's on their list. They ran last 2 GPs, top 8 both. Deck is good.
Yeah. Did they change it at all? They have Corolla's
Downfall. What were they playing beforehand?
Dawson's Negotiations, maybe?
Dawson Negotiations and Momentum Way. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Corolla's Downfall does do Momentum Way stuff. And Dawson's Negotiation stuff, assuming you can, like, enable it.
Actually, the, plot that spans realms, I think is the plot that fetches Kuro's Downfall.
Yeah, let me...
I think that's kind of off, but I think that might actually be worth running.
Wait, really?
Like, as a full sideboard plan. It's kind of... I'm not sure how easily this deck can trigger the 3 damage. But it's kind of as an offhand mention. I think that's actually worth considering. Because it is, I mean, if you can get all of the modes, it is really good.
Yeah, I guess.
But I think Google's deck is just overall very solid.
Oh, black red attrition. I mean, they almost and then if I give it 2 chili peppers or 1 chili pepper for unread, I'll give it 2. They haven't won a GP with it yet.
Yeah, but I think this is just overall very consistent. It's probably going to be anything that's like worse than it, basically.
Yeah. So Frogmaker is running back blue white Modo. It's the exact same deck. No, they're not. It's not the exact same deck. They decided to cut Patient Optimizer and Cane Dancer from the deck, and focus more on. Wait, they have 3 embodied souls now, I guess, which is probably better.
Yeah, probably. This deck seems fine. I don't know.
It's still running 2 Mysterious Lights for some reason.
I mean, it gets back. I mean, it cycles. It gets back Nexus, gets back Pena.
But how often are you getting back Nexus with this thing? If Nexus isn't in play, then you're not getting full value out of this thing.
It might be a better sideboard card. But I think this deck's. I think this deck needs something. I don't want to touch on it too much just because it was in last GP, very similar. I think this deck needs something more powerful to be doing. Because it has all these kind of cool interactions with Pioneer of Lands Unknown, Nexus, Embodied Soul Nexus. But Nexus costs the card, and you really do need something better than just the kind of minor synergies.
Yeah.
To kind of have that A plus B combo be particularly good. Because you're getting an additional card, maybe an additional card out of a lot of your stuff, but you're spending a card in Nexus, and a lot of these cards aren't really that exceptional, just in general.
Yeah.
Mana Corruption just doesn't quite work with it. Reconsider, really you're just turning it into kind of a really Portal Fracture kind of draws a card, kind of, if you squint at it a bunch.
Yeah.
It's granted that squinting really hard, but then Unraveling just it's kind of hard to make use of the having stuff in your graveyard kind of stuff.
It's probably the best card in the deck. The best Modo card in the deck. Actually, maybe Tenuous Existence is better.
Yeah, Bard Soul is also good. But I think this deck needs some kind of thing that makes me go, wow, this is what the deck's doing. Not this kind of...
Yeah. Maybe I'll come in a future set, but for now it's just, I don't think there's any good options.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm going to give it 4 chili peppers for being a Modo deck that makes such good use of Tenuous Existence. Because when I designed Tenuous Existence, I did not expect the Nexus of Possibilities interaction at all. Anyways, so next up, Flash Cat's winning back 5-color Beer Site, but this time they made changes to the deck. I don't want to look up what the changes are because, it's 160 cards.
I imagine they're playing beer legally now. Is one thing.
Well, yeah, so they're not going to get a game loss for Decklist error. For one, hopefully they also don't get 2 game losses in the finals or in the semifinals for game rule violations.
Okay, so few things note. Then see, you have Stormwing Raven, and Reweave Reality, which I presume they're using with what's the
Forgotten
card?
Lessons.
Which is a pretty cool combo.
Well, basically, it's three. So it's an Ancestral Council that's a 1/2 flyer instead of a 1/1. Basically,
Yeah, but it can fetch anything.
Well,
So it makes it a bit better than Council.
they're also running
Any
like
instance
a
sorcery.
bunch of other prophecy cards. I guess.
Am I missing something besides the Reweave?
They're also running
Reality?
the Overrun effect. Where is it? Supreme Stampede.
What are you stampeding?
I don't know. I mean, like it is a lot of power on
I
board.
see. So I see the reason that this raise reinforcements is in here. So I think the idea is that you Forgotten Lessons get raise reinforcements and Prophecy Supreme Stampede. On turn 4 you raise reinforcement, then turn 5 you Supreme Stampede.
I mean,
I think is the idea.
That can work if your opponent doesn't have any interaction. But like,
I think seems sketchy when you already have that kind of kill with Restard's command.
Yeah, but going back to Forgotten Lessons, I think like Dreamsight is probably the best deck to run the Forgotten Lessons Prophecy package because considering the deck is huge, you have way less chance of drawing your Storm Curls.
Yeah. I think this deck's pretty similar to the last one.
It's probably better.
It's about the same. I like Forgotten Lessons, but I don't think it makes it that much better.
It's also running Tahili's Council, which is another. It's basically Conjure Realities number 6 and 7. I mean 5 and 6.
I'm not gonna look through it and see what that can actually cast.
I mean, it can cast Dreamsight well, for one.
Yeah, but can't cast like Violence Collapse. So like you have to fetch like Ignition Ritual if you want to like immediately cast a wipe.
Maybe that's why they're running it, because otherwise it is a pretty weird card to run.
Well, I think they're running it for Veer.
I mean, is there any other options for Veer? What were they running for Veer last time in that black red slot?
I thought they were running it.
They were running it?
I think the other thing was
no, they weren't.
Kalia's Abomination.
Oh yeah, Kalia's Abomination, right. That's what they were running for that slot. They stopped running that? Yeah, they stopped running that. So yeah, they swapped out Kalia's for Ignition Ritual.
Yeah, but I think it's probably about the same. But it has proven to be quite strong. I feel like this should be more punishable, but just from like kind of seeing them play it doesn't seem either they don't play against aggro that much, or these kind of random rituals are just kind of good enough. Not rituals, wrath are good enough.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you do have plenty of tutors in the deck.
Yeah. My concern would be that your tutors aren't fast enough.
I mean, would you play 1 mana to tutor a thing? Because that's what Conjure Realities and his Council are basically doing.
When you're dying when all these creature aggro decks are killing you on turn 4, no.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, also Void Portal as before. Basically, tutors in a huge deck equals good, especially if they have this many 1-ubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me just grab your Dream Site. I see your Dream Site. And I still think the deck's really interesting, so I'll give it 4 Chili Peppers. I haven't run it enough yet for me to. Oh, actually, no, they've Forgotten Lessons package. That's 5 Chili Peppers right there.
So Flying Pinatas on EHS Burn, which sounds good.
So EHS is basically a replacement for Rainy Light Night Lovers, I think it's called. It does a similar thing to Rainy Night Lovers.
I don't think they were playing Rainy Night Lovers on this deck.
Well, I mean, like in previous burn decks.
Oh yeah,
But,
I mean,
like,
I think it's based off their Sword and Board deck.
Yeah, I'm saying that it plays in a similar space to that card in burn decks, except it can actually hit creatures. So you're not like gimping your deck with a bunch of instants and sorceries.
So the weird thing about this,
I mean, at the cost of gimping your mana base.
Yeah. So the weird thing about this deck is that it's like kind of gives us mana base because you're playing Naya main deck, which is already kind of like pricey on life totals.
Yeah. But like
you're only on 18 now.
You're playing Axlinger, so like you do want the shock fetch mana base.
Yeah, but then you're also playing Curse of Bleeding in the sideboard. So you seem really priced into getting yourself down to like 8 or something with just your mana base, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going really low because to cast all your spells you need to go like post board. You need to go like pain land. Like you can't fetch a mountain if you want to cast EHS and Curse of Bleeding.
Yeah. Well, on the other hand, they're not running a companion, or what is it called? Yeah.
That is true. That does help a fair bit. But I'm just generally not sure if I'm sold on how much damage you're taking with this mana base. So I guess you're probably quick enough that doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, sure, I'm on board. I do kind of feel like they're going to die to double scorch from like a control deck or something at one point, but
no, that double void flare. Control decks don't run scorch.
Yeah. But yeah, burn is good. EHS is good.
Yeah, so EHS burn. I'm gonna give it that's 3 chili peppers for playing EHS into burn. Yeah, I'll give it 4. So, and now we're at Zangi's, which is... Oh wait, Mako's also has... Okay, well, first we'll talk about Zangi's deck, which is... let's see what they changed from last time. And it's gonna be hard because the deck is really big. Have they changed anything from last time?
I see a Zalpa. I see a Semi-Christian Winters.
Was that in the deck last time?
Don't know. Especially, actually.
No, they were... I think it's the exact same deck from last time. Right? Yeah, it is.
Oh, interesting.
Well, they're getting 1 chili pepper for that.
Good. You're trying to... trying to set up a discard off with Suzume and discard cards and Monument. Generally, your cards are pretty low power level, but makes up for in synergy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely has its good matchups and its bad matchups. Yeah.
So let's go to... So finally, we have Mako, who seems to have decided to neck deck another one of their decks. But hopefully this time they've actually looked at how to play a deck before net decking it.
Yeah, so this is the list I played last GP, but before I updated it for the GP.
Wait, is that...
the sideboard's a bit different.
Oh, so it's even more unupdated.
This deck is good. I do think the sideboard is... I don't even remember what changes I made.
Well, you definitely went on 3 blessed spell routes.
Yeah.
You definitely
It
went
doesn't
on.
have. I know it does have ground smoke. Actually, not that many changes. Mainly I just have 4 on stand on Saber.
Right. I guess you decided to fight Burn with what everyone else is fighting Burn with.
I think this deck's solid.
Wouldn't you like didn't you make any changes after the GP? Like,
Yeah, I did, but still, this is more or less the list I played last GP.
really? Well, I mean,
And you're playing good cards.
it's on 4 miles from elementals, though.
Yeah, I mean, I still went undefeated in space last GP with 4 Maelstrom. I am a bit low on this after playing last GP than I was last GP, mainly because I realize the mana base is not that great. Maybe most notably, this coastal minion should probably be a verdant dominion. The lack of 5-color land, something I mentioned with Dravos' list, is it's the I've been building a fair bit as a ramp card.
Yeah.
Deck's still good. I mean, Lone Survivor is great. Growing Smoke is great. But and also decent chance that these fog spears have more utility in this GP. And so it's a fair amount of combo. But
yeah. Actually, does Fog Spirit completely screw over the Naya Spells deck?
they just kill it.
Oh.
And if you start asking about Lone Survivor, Molten Incubation is pretty good into that.
Okay, maybe that. Well, no, did it kill Storm though?
Yeah. Yeah, Storm dies. I concede after losing dishonorably game 1. There's no sideboard cards. I guess Summit Guardian.
Are they ever going to get Summit Guardian to play against Storm though?
After going turn 2 Fog Spear, turn 3 Lone Survivor, yeah.
Okay, yeah, good point.
But yeah, Storm does not like 4 Fog Spear for Lone Survivor, Summit Guardian.
Actually, I don't think Rejuvenation likes it either.
Yeah, Rejuvenation you can Wrath.
Well, no, it delays your turn 3 ramp spell, and then once you go behind, and then also screws over Conjure Realities.
Yeah, but definitely this deck generally I don't think kills fast enough to like go under Wrath. This is one of the things that Dravos' list, the changes I made there, kind of help with. Because you have a lot more kind of innate value with the legendary cards. But like this Dovin's Masterwork that isn't really a full card. And it's basically a land that blocks, where Sang Jin is kind of a real card. Yeah. Or like Fog Spear is, if you're not in the right matchup, Fog Spear is not really a real card. Whereas Elizabeth is. So definitely this deck becomes kind of reliant on Gransmug if it gets wrapped or whatnot.
Well, you just have to keep top decking Gransmurgs. I mean, that's how you won some of your games last GP.
Yeah, definitely. But I think this deck's overall very solid.
So I'm gonna give it 1 chili pepper for net decking or 4 chili peppers for. I think I'd say I like the deck. I'll give it 4 chili peppers. And I think that's everything. So does anyone in chat wants to talk about anything else? Is there even anyone in chat at all?
I think Scribble was mentioning the plot that spells Hands of Realms.
I found cards that are neither enablers nor payoff for ambitious necromancer feel really awkward to play with how synergy driven the deck's game plan is.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they actually tested it, to be honest. Yeah, it definitely wasn't. It was definitely kind of an off-air mention. Wouldn't be surprised if you just can't afford the slots. Especially, and not working for ambitious necromancers does seem kind of awkward. I've definitely tried and build around it a little bit and been like, oh, these creatures don't have 3 power. And suddenly the deck falls apart.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, I think I might change up these ratings to use more of the scale.
Yeah, okay. So, well, I mean, in a normal meta game, most decks should be around 7.
Well, there's only like 4 decks at the 7. 7's the top.
Okay, 7 is tier 1 in this format.
Let's see. Yeah, I'll increase some random stuff.
Just arbitrarily increase the ratings, inflate the ratings a bit.
Yes, exactly.
I'm surprised there's no zeros though.
I mean, a zeros literally can't win. Like 60 islands can't win.
I mean, has there any decks that have been seen in GP that would be somewhere near 0 or 1?
I don't think so. Gotcha. I haven't been in the format for too long.
Well, I mean, me neither.
But like, especially since like basically all of these decks, like actually, I guess the way to put it is that there's only so many cards that are staples that can't win the game.
Yeah.
Right. You play a Valdez and suddenly you have a win condition, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. God, I'm gonna get some really weird. Let me make sure that all these rankings make sense.
You don't have to. You can go more precise with your decimal places. You know, you don't have to do 0.5s all the time. You can even put in irrational numbers if you want to give something 3 times pi ranking.
Maybe add some imaginary numbers in there as well.
Yeah. I mean, I would give rejuvenation 3 or e to the power of actually, what's e to the power of 3? I forgot.
That's like 27 or something.
E to the power of
20.
1 point. Yeah.
Let me just check real fast. E to the power of 3 is no, it's actually basically exactly 20.
Okay. This is why we need a ranking from 100 to 0. So we can get even more granularity. But anyways, I think we're just mostly doing fine tuning now. So, thanks for coming to the stream. Is there anything else that you guys want us to talk about? Assuming that you even existed. I don't think so. So yeah, I guess we'll end the stream here then, right?
Yeah. Also, I would like to say that these rankings are maybe a good example is how I'm just randomly changing some of them up like half a point or so, to make the scaling a bit better.
Hey, that's how I also rank stuff too.
But like these are like things I've decided in like 5 seconds. So definitely don't feel like they're necessarily like the most precise ranking of the format ever. Like Crazy Train's a good example of this, where like I have a very limited experience with it, and whenever I see it, it always seems to perform slightly worse than I expect. But maybe that's just draw variance, right?
Yeah.
Maybe people are all sideboarding versus it. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll end the stream here.
Good recap. A lot of decks are pretty similar than last GP, but there's some new stuff, new interesting stuff.
Yep. Okay.